YouTube, it's Silver Age Dave. I'm in the garage. I've got a problem. I talked about just slightly last Monday. I got a call out of the blue from a guy that used to, well, not really even knew me. He was in an industry similar to mine, and he knew I collected comics. And he came into comics, and I bought, gosh, a ton of comics. And yesterday, I was really proud of myself. I had sold off the majority of those, which were newer, to a friend, Brad. And I was feeling on top of the world, like I'd really accomplished something, because I don't sell much. I sold 13 short boxes of comics, and there was plenty in there I would have loved to keep. But I gave Brad, I think, a really incredible deal on them. Brand new boxes. Most of them were bagged, boarded, and I thought, this is great, Dave. You're going the right direction, because I've got all this over here to do. At my office, I've got a kitchen full of comics. I've still got, comics to go through. I got a ton. My comic room floor is a mess. And I thought, I'm moving the right direction. And so literally, I've only shared this with two people, Aaron Garrett and Metarog. Yesterday, at just after 11 a.m., I got a call from a guy whose dad used to work with that guy. And he said, "Hey, Dave, my dad died a while ago, like a year, and I'm still cleaning out the house, but I found shoe boxes full of comics stacked floor to ceiling. And I want you to take a look at the books." And I thought, okay. So at noon, he and I were sitting in my office. Generally, if I'm looking at comics, I have people drive to the office. It's, a safe and secure facility, and there's, alarms and stuff going on, because you never know. We can only have so many crack houses we survive, and we gotta change our tune a little, right, guys? So they're not all like these that you see here. This is a lot of the 10 centers. I've got a bunch of 12 centers. I've got a bunch of 15 centers. I've got just a bunch of 20 centers. And then we get into 25s. I'm going to, try to move slow here, and I'll change the scene and finish the story. So, coincidentally, Go-To Geeks, this Mary Poppins up here is pretty trash. There's a lot of ink on it. But I think this is one you guys showed that I was really wishing I owned. And even though the cover's trashed a little, I think that's a good issue to have. Correct me if I'm wrong. That Mary Poppins. So, anyway, he called me. It was just after 11 a.m. I called, my wife wasn't home at the time. I called her. I said, "Hey, do you mind if I meet a guy?" So he drove me up to he drove to my office. I drove to my office, and he brought in, he had transferred everything into these banker boxes over here. And he came in, and he had these banker boxes, which I said, "Hey, why don't I just move these into long boxes, and you can have your banker boxes?" He said, "No, you can just have those too, Dave." Okay, so obviously I bought some comics. But that's where it gets crazy. I'm going to change this scene out. This Heckle Jekyll here, coincidentally, that's November 1953. It's in nice shape. I was going to show one here. Oh, we've even got them here. This one's in Ziploc. Some of the Golden Age or larger size books. Let me get this off here so I can show you. Because he didn't have bags and boards that fit. What he was doing, he was taking standard or silver size bags, and he was cutting one side, and he was sticking the Golden Age size book in there. And they're not all perfect. Like you can see this Charlie Chan here. It's got, kind of a corner rat chew like my Crack House comics had. And, not all of them, a couple of them had it, but You know, who knows? And what other one? Oh, this Popeye had some damage. King Comics Popeye number, what is that? 86. Beautiful though, the part you see there. So anyway, I'm going to change out the scenery. I'll get some of the other stuff in here, and I'll finish the story about this guy. All right, guys. So I changed out the scenery a little bit, and so he called me just after 11. My wife okayed it, so you know, I ran to the office, got the lights turned on. We're not, you know, there's certain days and times we're not open. Saturday at noon is, you know, we're not open. So got the lights turned on, alarms off, you know, all that good stuff. And he showed up and he had the banker boxes, which I showed you. And I start going through the first box, and it's, you know, completely mixed up. Nothing alphabetized, nothing by date order. And there is some newer stuff. Like I say, his dad really just recently died. So he was collecting books up to a little while ago. Coincidentally, 8 years ago, the dad had a massive, massive heart attack. And the cardiologist on staff at the ER said, oh, there's no sense doing anything. He's not going to make it. You know, they didn't think he was going to make the ambulance ride. And they brought in a specialist from somewhere else. And he ended up living 8 years after he was given, you know, basically a death sentence. So don't always take news for granted. But anyway, I start going through it, you know, and I'm seeing, you know, 10 centers, 12 centers, 15 centers, 20 centers, stuff, you know, we love to see as collectors. And, you know, but the vast majority was this older stuff. And, you know, I said, okay, let me tell you some of the older cartoon stuff. It's cool, but it doesn't have, you know, big value. And you know, here's what I'm thinking. And I threw a number out there, and he said, Dave, let me just do this. Just give me $100. You know, and keep in mind, I'd thrown out a higher number than that. And he said, hey, just give me $100. He said, I know you love comics. Dad loved comics. And so just do that. And, you know, I didn't plan yesterday to buy this. So I've got 2 long boxes full. I don't know how many comics that is. None of these are boarded, you know, maybe 1 or 2. So I haven't counted them. Like I say, some's newer. The vast majority is older. You know, there's some of these, you know, we talked Machine Man since New Year's Day. Machine Man's been finding me. And so we naturally come over here and we see, you know, number 1, 2001 Space Odyssey. So we move through. We get to number 7. We say, oh, where's number 8? Well, there's number 7. And we see what he paid for it. So I've got a couple issues over here that I want to talk about. Well, this one I found in there, number 2 to number 6. And anyone familiar with Toledo, that's the closest I've ever come. And unfortunately, there was no number 1 in there. Number 1 is, people ask, hey, what's a Grail book? Well, Scooby-Doo number 1, if I could pick up a Toledo copy of that, that's a Grail book for me. I grew up loving Scooby-Doo, but that's the closest I've ever come. But in here, we've got, you know, number 7. Let me try to, I'm doing this with my iPad. So we've got number 7 right there. And so that's, you know, certainly a pretty cool thing. And there it is, number 8. And that is going to be the first Machine Man. Okay. So that's a pretty special issue, and that's unread. And I was just looking at it the other day on eBay, not this particular version of it, but I couldn't believe it. And this Howard the Duck was in there, and this Hulk was in there. okay, in the collection. And Hulk's got a couple spine ticks. I looked at it and I thought, wait a minute. Sometimes there's the unexplainable that happens. So I'm trying to pare down the collection. I'm trying to shrink the collection. And then, you know, things happen that make me think, well, maybe I'm not supposed to shrink the collection. Who knows? So that's where I'm at. It's Sunday morning. My goal this week was to have less comics, and I have 2 long boxes here. Plus I've got all of this stuff up here. This was the collection I bought Monday, 6 days ago, and I sold off 13 long boxes of it. So I'm moving the wrong direction, but ultimately I can't not buy it. That's what happens after 45 years of collecting and telling everybody. Stuff finds you. I'm not trying right now, and it's coming in. This isn't a complaint, but to anyone new in the hobby, if you ask me, you say, hey Silver, what's the best tip? You don't always have to pay retail. You just have to tell everybody. Be proud of the hobby. Tell everybody. And you never know who knows who or who's finding what, and things find you. And people are kind. In his case, he didn't want this stuff to go to a store. He didn't need the money. Didn't want the money. He just wanted those books to get to a collector. And I was the one he had heard of. Coincidentally, his dad worked with the guy that I bought all those books from Monday. That's the connection. All right, so I almost forgot to put these out. These were also part of the deal. I've got a Popeye Big Little book. I've got some digests. And, nothing in here that's over the top crazy. But, stuff that's cool to have. So, guys, I'm feeling really on top of the world. And I'm sorry, sometimes I'm going to be tired or I'm going to feel a little beat. I filmed this video a little earlier. Now I'm awake and moving about. And there's work ahead of me, going through these, more books to rebag and reboard. But I promise you, I'm going to love each one. This is a lifetime of playing this game, of being in this hobby. And I feel like I'm shooting 3-pointers with my eyes closed anymore. And it's not me guiding that ball. That ball is almost guiding itself. But I'm happy where I'm at. I'm so proud to be part of this community and to have sometimes fortune, good fortune find me, and things come my way. I can't explain it. So I'm wishing you the best. Today's Sunday. Make today count. Make it awesome. And when you wake up tomorrow, think, what would Silver do? Make tomorrow count. Be great. Love today for today, and treat each other well. That's my other tip of the day. Treat people well. It'll come back to you. Silver Age Dave is out.